Hi everyone, welcome to Daily Revelations. This is a weekly Bible study where we are using precept methods to go through the Bible, one book at a time. And right now we are in the book of Daniel. And specifically this week we are in the chapter of Daniel 5. And so if you're new with us, make sure that you check the planner. You'll find the link in either this podcast or video. And you can download that, go along with us, or you can go back and do it at your own pace too. But this study is just to excite you about digging into the Word yourself. I am not the one who is speaking God's Word to you. That's what God does. That's what His Spirit does. And this study is about teaching you how to do that and inspiring you. Because every day, I don't know what I'm going to say until I sit at the feet of God and ask Him the same questions I'm asking you to ask Him. So this is day 4 in our study through Daniel 5. And in day 4, we look at the who, what, when, where, why, and how of the chapter. And today I made a list, as I always do. And if you're watching the video, that's my list of who, what, when, where, why, and how. And the thing that popped up to me was the what. God had ended the Babylonian Empire in one night. Wow. That's rather convicting because we have plans. We have things that we want to happen in our lives. And yet, if we aren't lined up with God, we can see things upended rather quickly because we aren't catching His vision. Instead, we're so focused on the details of what's going on today. Sorry, I have a jet flying over my house. Just a little added background noise. Anyways, so we get so caught up in that and we want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. How can I plan this out? How can I make this work? And God asks us not to do that. He asks us to live a different way. He asks us to dream His dreams and to be content with how each day plays out for that dream to come to fruition according to His plan, not ours. We need to let go of our plans and how we see things working out. And that is so hard, but that is what faith is about. And that was really convicting to me today in that because I've had an awful week. I'll just tell you that straight out. Been fighting for my health. I've been fighting against just a lot of conflict, and I hate conflict. But conflict, you can't run away from it, and you can't just put your hands up and say you win, because within conflict is something greater, and we need to push through that. And that's where I came to Matthew 6 to really get a better vision of, well, how do we live within these dreams that God gives us without over planning? Because that is our tendency, especially as us box checkers. And as you can see by the planner that I have for you to download, I have lots of boxes to check every day. But learning to let go of if those boxes don't get checked or if those spaces don't get filled because something else more important that God dictates for that day happens. It's okay. So, what does Matthew 6 tell us? Well, first of all, it says be generous. Oftentimes we will hold back with our time and our money and our resources because we see them as necessary for our plan. Yet God says, give it away. I've got more. And what you give away doesn't matter because if I ask you to give it, there will always be a replenishing. That's the first thing. The second is pray. Yeah, pray not for show, but pray to humble yourself and your plans. Submit them to God and see what He does. The third thing is forgive and live a life of grace. We all mess up. Yeah, I messed up a lot this week. And I ask people for forgiveness because I'm not perfect, and neither are you. And so we live within forgiveness for ourselves, we live within forgiveness for our family, and for every person we come into contact with, because none of us is perfect. Only God is. Okay, number 4. Allow God's refining to perfect you. God's going to point out stuff that needs to be redone in your life, pointed out, fixed, that he wants to work on. And are you willing to be put in his hands to let him do that? Or are you resisting that? Number 5 is don't worry. God's got everything figured out. Worry just makes us stressed and makes us sick and really never solves any problems at all. So let it go. And finally, number 6, seek first God's kingdom today. Today is all you got. So focus on what God's doing in your life, what he's doing to connect you to people, to show himself to you, and live in the joy of that. That is how we live within God's dream. He has a vision, and his vision will always win. So stop planning. Ask God for the dream, and then ask him for the strength to stay within that dream and not fight against it and do your own thing. So be encouraged. Get into God's word. Look at the who, what, when, where, why, and how of Daniel 5 and ask God to speak to you. And ask him, what are you going to reveal to me today, unique? Because he will. So I'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for joining me on Daily Revelations.